Hi, guys. It's David Sagoe from the Grit and Grime podcast. I'm here, as you can see or hear, with Michael Downey.
All right.
And Jose Garcia Vidal.
Hello, people.
We are back to give you another podcast because another week of the NBA has gone by. I'm melting. Sitting on quicksand. No, I just wanted to align my mic nicely so I sound nice and crisp. Yes, we're back for another episode. And this week we're going to be talking about a few topics. We're going to start off, though, with East versus West. Not the All-Star game, but the Eastern Conference versus the Western Conference. I don't know if you've noticed, but this year there seems to be a slight difference in the number of teams that are doing well in the East compared to the number of teams that are doing well in the West. Historically, at least since, 2000 or something like that. Maybe since Jordan retired, actually.
Yeah, I'd say 99 or something like that.
Yeah, the Western Conference has been the stronger conference, right? You get this thing where players migrate away from the dominant player, and we went from having Jordan in the East to having LeBron in the East, and now LeBron's out West. It seems like we're getting a lot of great players and great teams being built in the East now.
I think you're giving LeBron a little bit too much credit.
How did you make it about LeBron all of a sudden?
How did you make it about LeBron?
Not about Steph.
It was about Jordan. It's
It's nothing to do with Steph then.
It could be Steph. It could be the Warriors dynasty. But hey, they lost 2 out of 5, didn't they? But yeah, it could be that. But either way, the West has been stacked for 20 odd years. You can pick any reason you want. Shaq, Kobe, Duncan. There's been plenty of reasons to leave the West before now. But it seems like there could be a changing of the guard. When we look at the standings, we can start there. There are 11 teams over 500 in the East. I haven't seen anything like this ever.
That's crazy.
11 teams over 500. And then when you pop over to the West, you can find only 6 teams are over 500. And then there's 3 more who are at 500.
Yeah.
Crazy. And that's even perked up because I think all 4 of those teams, all 3 of the teams that are 500 won their last game. So they were all under. And obviously that's going to fluctuate. We don't know where they're going to land. But it's just crazy to see. What do you guys think? What have you seen? Mike, you're muted.
Sorry, there we go. It's only been 2 years. Yeah, I was going to say, I can't remember a time where you could finish over 500 in the East and not make the playoffs. And now we've expanded it to the play-in, and that's still the case. The Boston are currently sitting in 11th at 52%. That doesn't happen.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I think not only I think that over the last years it's been changing actually, and I have some data actually to share in a second. But what's nice is that these teams are not only winning, they're also playing well. That you can see them deserving to win games. It's not just they're winning, they're winning games by 2 points. They might be winning games by short margins, but they're playing good basketball. You can find the Cavs game and see them playing nice basketball, At least that, not all the game, but at least most of the game. The Hawks, we know they can play. The Celtics, have very good individualities. The Hornets, we know they can play. The Bucks, obviously, but even the Wizards, and the Bulls that are absolutely smashing it. and the Nets are not even complete. So it's really nice. Like I just spoken about, I just talk about all the teams. I haven't really seen the Knicks play a lot, so sorry, Tom, but
Trash.
But they must be doing well, Yeah, so it's just so nice to see. It's refreshing to see teams playing well and winning.
Yeah. That makes all the difference. I think the East has always been known as the more like gritty, the more sort of grimy conference. Don't know what that's a reference to. But
we are in the East, though.
We
compared to any of these teams.
Far East.
Even more East. So we're just winning everything. Can't lose. Never lost. But yeah, the East has always been the more gritty conference, more about defense, whereas the West, as you had just mentioned, played more of the pretty basketball. You had more of the teams that had nice style, great offenses, tended to be in the West, and yeah, it looks like even that's changing.
Yeah, definitely.
I think one of the big things for me though is like dynasties and franchises, because when the West has been dominant, it's been like a few teams that have really built them up. Like the Spurs managed to roll getting like one insanely good pick into 2 decades of dominance.
Yeah,
the Lakers have always been there or thereabouts through knowing that they have a good attraction in being in LA, and then just exploiting that and making good picks. Like how many teams passed up on Kobe and they took the chance because they knew that he was going to be as good as he was. If you compare that to the Knicks, that is the big pull. Like that is supposed to be the city where people want to play. They should be able to have that clout, but they've just been a fucking disaster for the past 20 years. So it would be good to see which of the teams that are doing well now, like Milwaukee, who have looked out really on Giannis. Call it a good shout, but
it was.
he's developed like beyond what anybody would have thought. I think. Can they sort of roll that into sort of continued success and make it so that he's at the top for his entire career? I don't know. I don't know if I can see that yet.
Well, they're locked into that team specifically. If we're talking about the Bucks, in terms of the contracts that they've given out to their big three in Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Giannis. I think they will be there or thereabouts as long as he's in his prime and
100%.
happy there. But I think the top of the East has improved a lot, to the point where I think the last couple of seasons we could quite reliably say that the top of the East wasn't necessarily better than the top of the West in the regular season, at least. Like we haven't been getting finals matchups that are super lopsided since outside of 2018. That hasn't really happened since, I know 17 it was 4-1, but that Cavs team was really good. It's just that the Warriors were even better. The lopsided finals that we spoke about in the early 2000s haven't been happening in the recent few years. And then there's been, like, for the last few years at least, I think since LeBron left the East, the top of the East has improved a lot. So you talk about the Bucks, the Raptors were there for a time, and now you have the Nets. And I think Philly you can throw into the mix at times as well. The top of the East improved first, but you still had this sort of drop off from the top tier to the second tier, and then another drop off to the teams that were just scraping into the playoffs. And it's that improvement that we've seen happen over there, whereas it seems the opposite seems to have happened in the West.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I mean, I think a few of the Eastern teams kind of, Philly try to do the process. I think I think Orlando is trying to do something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but you're starting to see them get a bit better because of the younger talent that they've brought in, and because of the result of getting high draft picks. Same with Cleveland, right? Like you can see this in there. And you got to think that the more that you do that, the more that you're going to recognize what is good and what isn't good. So I don't know if it's just a case of it's just been it's time. It was time that was actually needed for some of these teams to just go, all right, let's bottom out and rebuild.
Yeah. I think it's a process, as you say. I got some numbers if you're interested.
Sure.
So this is for the last 12 years, and this is percentage won, East versus West. So obviously you can do your math and think of the West versus East, because it will be the opposite. Yeah. So the lowest in the last 12 years, this is percentage of victories East versus West, is in 2013-14, 36.9 only. So Eastern teams playing against Western teams. So that's only 30% of their games, basically, which is very low, actually.
It's horrendous.
But let's go back to that season, though. Like, what's 13-14? That's the Spurs winning. But what's
is that the year the Suns won 50 games and missed the playoffs? It might be that year.
I have to look this up. What we said 13-14.
Yeah.
That's quite low. Yeah. So top of the West, you got the Spurs with 62 points. Sorry, 62 wins. On the 8th position, you got the Mavs with 49 wins, which is quite high.
Yeah, for an 8th seed, absolutely.
It's like 59, almost 60%, 600. Like, that's crazy. And the Suns won 48 games.
48. There we go. Yeah, I thought it would be that season. And then you compare that to the East, like the winning 48 games got you the 3rd seed in the East.
Correct. Yeah. The Raptors
tied for the 3rd seed.
The eighth seed got 38 wins.
Yeah.
The Hawks.
46%.
Yeah, so there was a massive difference back then, obviously.
Yeah. And then the Pacers being number 1 with 56 wins, and they would have been 4th in the West.
In the West. So you got 5 teams that are better than the best team in the East.
Yeah.
And then the highest in the last 12 years was actually 2008, 2009, where the East beat the West with 231 wins over and 219 losses. So that's 51%, 51.3 of win percentage, which is quite good. So it's pretty even. But historically the West has been good, even in the last 12 years. That's the only time that the East has been better than the West. However, the East has provided more championships. 38 wins from 10 franchises, and the West has 34 from 9 franchises.
Oh, that's historically.
Yeah.
Oh, all time. Yeah, I mean, Celtics cooked the books, didn't they?
Yeah. Only 4 ahead, though. Is that much?
Yeah. Because the West has been catching up ever since, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they count. Right. I think I don't. Was Minneapolis? Yeah, they would have been a Western team.
West, yeah.
So they would have come out the gates, and then the Celtics would have just overtaken and never looked back after that. The Knicks won a couple championships, and then the Bulls dynasty came through. So that's I think that's to be expected. But what I think is also an interesting factor, which I thought would keep it the same, is free agents going out west for the Sun, right? I thought that because California is such an attractive place to live, yes, lucrative as well. You also then have the all the tech companies and all of that are on the West Coast. I thought that would keep free agents going out west. But I think
you got Miami in the East as well, right?
You do, but it's kind of the only place that we consider a destination like that. On the
sunny, you mean?
In terms of
Orlando or
sunshine.
Miami. Orlando or Miami, basically.
Yeah, Orlando has sun, and I have heard it's a great city. But at the same time, the sun isn't the same kind of sun. Orlando is very it's swampy, so it's
not cool. It's not a cool place, right? Like nobody's like, oh, I'm really hyped to go to Orlando unless you've got a family.
Shouts to Orlando though. Shouts to Orlando. I know we have some Orlando fans that listen.
For all 4 of you who listen to
but yeah,
where would you prefer to be living right now, people in
exactly. Obviously, New York is a draw, Chicago's a draw, but they don't have the warm weather. And I thought things like that would keep free agents in the West. But we've seen Durant go east, Kyrie stayed east, Harden went east, Westbrook went east and came back. Like a lot of star players have gone that way. So.
And the newer ones that are coming through as well, like Embiid is one of the biggest stars around right now.
Tatum
and Giannis, of course.
Yeah.
Trae Young's coming up. Yeah, they've got a few that are coming through as well.
Yeah, and I think that's helped. And then I think the last factor that I wanted to bring up personally was injuries. Hate to say it, but when we look at the style, I'm still on 2013-14. Oof, the Suns are way down, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. When we look down the conference, even though the Warriors have won all but 2 of their games this season, which is freaking insane, they've never won an overtime game this season. Crazy. 0-1. They're still playing without Klay Thompson and James Wiseman, right? So they could get even better potentially. Phoenix has had, again, doing very, very well, and they started this streak that they're on while Ayton was injured, but they've had Ayton miss some games. Utah have had some of their guards miss games. Dallas have had Luka miss a couple of games, and Porzingis miss a couple of games. And this isn't to say that the East doesn't have injuries, because of course it does.
Denver think Murray and MPJ.
Gone. MPJ's out for the season now.
Yeah.
And Jamal Murray's been out all season. Those are the bigger losses.
The
Lakers have had LeBron out for, I think, more than half their games.
And Trevor Ariza, who hasn't played.
And the great Trevor Ariza and Kendrick Nunn haven't played a minute yet this season. And the Laker Nation is excited to welcome home their heroes. I hate them. I hate the Lakers, man.
Of course, Kawhi and Ibaka, who just returned.
Yes.
By the way, and played quite well.
He did. That's good, because I think the last time he returned from injury, he did not start well.
He had a couple of games in the G League before returning, so I think that's helping. Clay, I think, is playing tonight or tomorrow in the G League as well, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Him and Wiseman are both in the G League, and they're going to be playing there to get some 5-on-5 reps and get their conditioning up. Memphis have just had Morant. Pardon me. Let me start again. Memphis have just had Morant go down. And then the rest of them don't have excuses. I'm not gonna give Portland any excuses, or Sacramento, Spurs, OKC, New Orleans. Well, haven't had Zion. No Zion.
We haven't had Jakob Poeltl.
Oh yes. Yes. The beast.
We won 2 in a row. We won 2 in a row.
With him back.
We're back, baby.
I don't know, man.
That was the new Duncan.
Just like thinking.
Mary is almost averaging a triple-double. Sorry, Mike.
He is.
Like you could do that. You could do this for any year. Like thinking off the top of my head, like the Wizards had Wall out for so long. Beal has been up and down. Philly, Ben Simmons isn't playing. He missed a year. Embiid missed a year. Pacers had Oladipo. They had Paul George go down with that horrific injury. Like you would think that there have been some really significant ones recently in the West, but you would think that should average it out, right? Like, like if you're looking sort of over the past 20 years, it should average out unless there are teams like Orlando that are really sort of skewing the sort of the things on there where they are known to mess up their guys essentially.
But the other thing is having bad teams in your conference is actually beneficial to your conference, right? Because you play them more than the other conference does. So it's good to have
it's beneficial. If you have a good team and bad teams, bad teams in your conference, and you're most likely to win a lot of games, right? That makes sense, yeah.
Which is why I think we've had a lot of Eastern teams win the overall record
because during that stretch. More, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So when Atlanta were top, sometimes I think the Pacers had 1 year back in 2004 or whatever. Like certain years, it's like the West is stacked, but the team with the best record comes out of the East. 2009 is one of those years as well. I think the Cavs had the best record.
Yeah, 66 wins.
Yeah, Orlando had it a couple of years later, I think.
Did they?
Yeah.
Who was in Orlando? I can't remember them being good after T-Mac, man. Oh, Dwight
Howard. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Got it, yeah.
Mm.
We all forget about Dwight, don't we?
I do not.
The NBA does, the Lakers do. Philly has already forgotten about him.
Philly.
Houston, the Lakers, again.
Charlotte.
The Wizards.
Oh, yeah. Top 75 all time, though. Top 75.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think it's more the case of like you could see those teams, even like the Bucks when they were doing it and having like ridiculous sort of records. You look at them versus like the top three in the West, and you go, I'm not going to pick them as favorite, right? So it's the eye test as well as the sort of the record, where you're just kind of going like, this doesn't add up like to you being the best in the league.
Right. So with that said, it seems like things have absolutely flipped around, because the way we just described what happens in the East is now happening in the West, where the two top teams in the league are in the West and
they're killing everybody else in the West.
Yeah, killing everyone else. Meanwhile, the East has a more balanced record and more good teams.
That makes sense.
Would you pick your favorite for the championship to come out of the East or the West?
Ooh. Being completely impartial, just thinking like,
yeah,
I just got here. Let's see. Yeah. Right.
You've got here. You have no affiliations. You know the league though. Like
fine.
You know the teams.
So then you have to go for the West, man. Like, because you have two teams that, one of them has won 7 straight, the other one has won 16 straight, and they're just ridiculous. I think I would go for the West. I would pick my favorite from the West. You'd pick your favorite from the West, see? Yeah. Because I still look at the Bucks and I'm just like, well, they're just waking up. Like they're undefeated since they got Middleton back, and they haven't lost a game that Middleton, Holiday, and Giannis have started. Mm-hmm. They're like 7-0.
I think there's that, but it's also kind of hard to look past Brooklyn, right? Like it's such a stacked team, and they're producing, and it kind of feels like they're in second gear. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And the Warriors are scary. The Warriors really are scary, but I don't think they've got the depth there. We'll see
Okay.
what happens when
But
Clay comes back.
does Brooklyn actually have that depth though? Like, I don't know. Remember how I said I like how a lot of teams play really good basketball. I don't know if the Nets play
They
that
don't.
basketball that I like. I just
They don't.
They
just
don't have to
give
at the
it to KD, right? Just give it to KD.
Mm.
Harden draws a foul or gets defenders together and just lobs the ball to somebody.
Mm.
And Patty Mills scoring the threes and Aldridge doing his thing. Like, it's just individual players
Mhm.
killing the other team on one-on-one.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah. But they're playing worse basketball than they did last year. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, but it's working for them, right? Because this is what works for a team like this that is stacked of superstars. But now Joe Harris is not going to play for the rest of the season or for a long time. So that's key piece there, I think. And obviously Kyrie is not there. I don't know if the Nets have that depth. I think, and probably the Warriors don't either. Sorry, but bring Clay back. Clay has more chances of coming back than Kyrie does, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
But
he has
Clay
a timeline at least.
He hasn't played for like 2 or 3 years, man. Like,
Yeah.
you can't expect him to come back and be instantly top 10 guy. You know?
I think he's those players that are going. Think of his basketball, his style. He doesn't have to dribble. He doesn't really need to defend. Just passing the ball.
He does need to defend.
Fine, but I mean, his style. He one time, how many dribbles? Like 3 dribbles and 20 points, something like that, or 29. I can't remember. Like
60 points in 11 dribbles.
There you go. So it was an equivalency. You see what I just said? I said 3. I said 3 and 20. So basically the same. If you know your fractions, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, Clay can easily come back and adapt to this team. You have now Steph, Poole. Who else is shooting well? Who else is shooting well? Wiggins is shooting all right.
Really quick.
Wiggins is shooting all right. You know, you got 3 players that can draw the attention. Toscano Anderson, who's playing well, actually.
Yeah.
Peyton and Green. And then this new guy, you know, put him in the corner. Just stay there.
Mosey, Moody.
just go to the corner, Clay. You know?
But, yeah, I don't think they're the same. They're playing incredibly. They are doing incredibly. Yeah, and Clay can come in and do a job, but we're not talking about the same Warriors that we were when you had Sean Livingston, you had Iguodala.
Yeah,
like, those like
West
pedigree sort of guys, right?
Iguodala is there as well, you know.
It's not.
I just forgot about him.
Like, I don't even think Green is the same like level as he was, right? Like,
maybe not individually, but
defensively,
like that team's defense is top of the league, and they lock up.
Lock
up. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny with the Warriors because I'm almost back to thinking of them like people were in early 2015. Like, yeah, they're good. They've had a good start and stuff, but you don't really believe that it will carry on, or you look at them like one of those teams that is going to win a bunch of, like the Suns, win a bunch of games in the regular season, and then in the playoffs they'll come up against someone with more experience who plays a bit smarter and gets knocked out. The only difference is we've seen them do it. We've seen the same core do it before. Yeah. But yeah, I don't. Something still hasn't clicked in my head that they're as good as they're showing. And I don't know. Maybe I need to see it in the playoffs, or maybe I just need to see them against more teams that are established. Like that, I have a thing about. I almost don't care if you're playing well if the league isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a similar opinion about the Champions League the last few years. I don't feel like European football is very good right now compared to some of the teams that we've had in the past. And like because the West isn't looking as strong as it used to, I'm just a bit like, yeah, sure, they're winning loads of games, but where is their actual substance to all of it? But you can only beat who's put in front of you, right?
Yeah, but it's a relevant question. Like, how is pool going to perform in the playoffs?
Mm.
Like we knew how
100%.
some of those other guys, and I think it's damaging to their brand sort of thing, that you knew how good they were, and you know that this team isn't as good as that team, right?
Yeah.
Like, but they are incredible. They're still incredible. If you
Yeah.
didn't have that as a reference, they would be an incredible team.
Yeah, they're definitely not as good as they used to. I completely agree with you. I think the teams that they beat back then, not just in the finals, like the conference playoffs, like you had
some very good teams.
OKC, like
2016 OKC, 2017 Spurs, 2018 Houston.
Yeah, Houston, man, they lost, like they beat Houston. Oh my God, yeah, I remember. Harden was playing probably his best basketball ever.
Yeah,
and Chris Paul was 5 years younger than today. So
gosh. So they came up against some stiff competition, and that just isn't there yet, and that's probably down to those injuries, right? Because the Nuggets team was shaping up to be a real contender. I think
that's not going to happen, I think, this year.
Yeah. And
the Lakers should be better.
Yeah,
they should be better. They're just not playing well.
Yeah.
Wait till Kendrick Nunn gets back, man.
Hey. Can't spell
Come on, man.
and one without K N A D. It's a silent K.
Can one.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Do we believe that the East is this good, or is it a bit of fool's gold? Are these teams as good as they look like they are? Are the Wizards really about this life?
No. I've been saying it all fucking season. I don't believe in them at all. But then again, like you said, like I think Atlanta are low right now, Boston are low, Philly are low. Like there's other teams that, even if they aren't for real, there's other teams that could easily replace them.
Right.
And that's not been a thing.
Yeah,
that's really
you got at least you have at least 7-8 good teams in the East. Whereas in the if you look at the West, you have 4-5 maybe. You know what I mean? Like teams that you say, these guys, they have a chance. I say 4 or 5 in the West. In the East, at least 7 or 8. Yeah. I mean, that's bottom of the line. I think that's it.
Yeah. Wild. It has swung.
I don't know, man. Like to be honest with you though, if you still if you mapped it out and you said, okay, 8th seed in the West versus 8th seed in the East,
right?
Like how you actually think it's going to play out, like a Charlotte versus who's it going to be?
Memphis
on
the 8th.
I'll probably still take Memphis in that though, right?
No.
They're not that good this year. They really can't defend. They're bottom of the league in defense, I think.
Yeah,
I think I've overrated the Memphis.
But they were good last year, right? They were very good last year.
They were good enough last year to make it to the playoffs, but that's it. To play in
and playoffs. They knocked the Warriors out.
They did. But yeah, they're very young though. Very young team with Ja Morant on the wheel. And now he's injured, so I don't know.
Oh my gosh, how are the Blazers below the Nuggets with Jokic missing like 3 or 4 games and they lost all of them?
I need to tell you. Not going to.
You know the reason.
Oh man. It's funny. Leave it alone.
Didn't have to say, man. I got you.
So yeah, I guess we can move on from there. But rolling out of our who's gonna win the title conversation to 2 Titans who are in that conversation tonight. We have the Warriors versus the Suns.
What a match.
One of these streaks have to end. Suns have won 16 in a row. The Warriors have won 7 in a row. But the Warriors do have the better record. And that those two streaks are being put on the line tonight, head to head. We have to talk about the Suns streak. 16 in a row. They started 1-3. Somehow managed to beat my Lakers in that stretch. No idea how. Their only win of the first 4 games of the season. Clearly, we tired them out.
That's what it was.
And since then, as I said, they've won 16 in a row, and they're just clicking. Chris Paul's doing Chris Paul things. They are by far the best clutch team. I have a few clutch stats for you, if I can stall enough to get to them. So, Michael Schwartz was on the Zach Lowe podcast, and he said they are 8-1 in clutch games. So games that have gone to clutch situations, they've won 8 out of 9. They've outscored opponents by 45 points per 100 possessions in the clutch, which is insane. It sounds like they're basically getting to the clutch and then just toying with teams, just obliterating them. It's close, isn't it? Oh, yeah, it's really close, isn't it? And then boom, 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 break them down.
That's what they did to the Spurs, man.
I was born in the clutch.
Booker is 11 of 15 in the clutch, and Chris Paul is 6 of 9 from the field in the clutch.
That's ridiculous.
And then overall, Booker's 3-point percentage is up. He's up over 40% for the first time in his career, which is a little bit surprising because we've thought of him as a shooter in the past. But his 3 ball has actually been inconsistent in the league. Part of that might have been because he didn't have any damn help. But yeah, now it's getting up to the kind of efficiency that we've expected from him his whole career. Chris Paul's 3-point shooting is down. So, I mean, feel free to exploit that at some point, league. But yeah, they're streaking. JaVale McGee backing up Ayton. He stepped in, did a good job at center. He's 3-time NBA champion, JaVale. My apologies.
Keeps doing a fucking decent job, man.
He's just long and tall, and now he's wise and smart, isn't he? Like than before, smarter.
And he puts
smarter.
Man.
Yeah. Just does the job. Yeah, what's interesting, you mentioned in clutch points, and yes, like I was just going over their last 16 games, and they've only won 6 games for more than 7 or 8 points, right? Like they're all quite close. That just speaks really good about them, to be honest, because if they won 1 game for that, or a couple of games with that difference, you're like, ooh, but they're really good. They can keep up the pace, and then at the end just hit the gas and kill them. So,
but do you think there might be like a bit of a falsity to the streak if they're in that many games that are that close towards the end? Because if we're comparing it to the Warriors, I don't think they've been in that many games that have been that close.
No. I believe I'll pass it back to you. I believe the Warriors are number 1 in and plus minus, not plus minus, in
point difference,
win margin. Yeah, point differential. With 13.5, and then the Suns are in 3rd behind Utah, is it?
Okay, so they're still
Western teams dominating again. A 3rd with 7 point something, 5, something like that.
So I don't know, but the fact that they can get it done speaks volumes to sort of the mentality that they've got over there, and the coaching. Like Monty Williams, my God,
got to be said.
Yeah, they stole him from Philly, by the way. Can I just say, middle of the playoffs, they stole him. Never forgive them for that.
Well, you didn't want him as your head coach, did you? Brett Brown.
God damn.
Brett Brown. What you could have had.
He was right there.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, the Lakers interviewed him and told him who he had to hire as his staff, lowballed him in terms of money, and then said they would only give him a 3-year contract to match him up with LeBron, and he said no, I'm gonna go with the Suns. So yeah, Lakers could have had him or Ty Lue. Had to settle for Vogel in a championship, hard time.
Did all right.
But yeah, really good coach, really good coach. We saw this last year. Just the way that team plays, they are, I said at the start of the season, they're like metronomical. Oh yeah, I said it. They're just steady, play to their own rhythm, control games, great on offense, great on defense. They're like the new Spurs of the West. I'm sorry, Jose. I'm sorry.
Well-oiled.
Yeah.
Nothing to say about that. That's good.
You guys have a better owner still.
And an older coach.
Experience. And he has more hair. Hey.
Yeah.
It's not looking good on that front.
No. Pop needs 22 wins, by the way, to become the winningest coach in history.
Do you think he'll retire after he gets it?
I think he'll retire after this year, regardless.
Right.
He'll announce it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but having that sort of level of coaching is just massive. And I think
100%.
Sort of making the transition from being a bottom feeder to an actual good team and getting some a talent like Chris Paul in there, I think also does a lot, because Chris Paul, he's not gonna stand for any sort of losing mentality. He's not gonna stand for people chatting about or anything like that. Come in, do a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, how important it is to have a leader both in and out of the court. And speaking about coaches, because obviously we saw Monty Williams talk to the Bucks players after they lost game. Was it game 6?
6, yeah.
And obviously they he was a complete gentleman and emotional. How many coaches in the NBA do you think have this level of understanding of leadership and get to see things from that perspective? You know what I mean? Like, how many coaches? Because you hear most coaches in the NBA on press conferences, and they're great. They all seem like great guys, fabulous. But how many coaches do you think in the NBA have that level of understanding of the game?
Yeah. Is he from the Pop Tree?
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course he is.
Yeah, he's we had a couple of years ago we had oh god. We had Matthew Bryan Manning on the podcast, and he told his story of making it to Summer League in the NBA, and he was at the Hornets, and he explained how deliberate and confident, but almost quietly confident Monty Williams is. He said that there was other coaches, as there always is. There's other coaches that handle the Summer League team. It's not normally the main coach. One of the assistants will take the lead, and then the other coaches will work around them. But he said anytime Monty Williams came in and said something, he said it with such authority.
Oh.
He would just come in and be just give a couple of pointers here and there, but you could tell that he knew exactly what he was talking about. He knew exactly what he wanted to see. And he was very, very deliberate in his delivery. And I think we just see the fruits of that. He's almost like a less talkative, a little bit more calm version of Chris Paul as a coach, right? And we forget that Monty Williams was Chris Paul's coach for so long in New Orleans. So they already had that relationship going into this situation. already had that understanding, so he can more easily get his ideas across, having that Chris Paul leadership on the court, and then him handling stuff off the court, and then Booker's just flourishing in that situation. And then just again, in terms of the well-oiled machine, excellent high-level role players. Crowder.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's diminishing to call Ayton a role player, but Ayton Bridges is like prototypical quintessential 3-and-D wing player, right? That's when you say you need a 3-and-D wing player, like the Lakers do, like all of these teams do. That's what you want. It's Michael Bridges, right? And they're all just playing their parts so excellently. We've mentioned JaVale already, probably said it too soon. But they all can just come in, do their role and just their role. They don't need to get out of pocket and do things that aren't expected of them. And then the actual play, like the way that they run plays is just perfect execution every time. Lots of actions, curls, flare screens, baseline cuts, like just everything that you would need to do to keep the defense on their toes. Yeah. It seems like they can go really deep into their playbook and still execute.
Yeah, it's just understanding the defense, isn't it? They can read the defense immediately, and you see that they got it figured out from minute one. It's incredible. They don't struggle to get good shots
at all.
You rarely see them taking forced shots, and that's if the defense is really, really good, which is not the case in many teams in the NBA. Yeah. So when you have an expert coach and an expert point guard, that's it, right? Really good role players and a scorer in the two position. How can you beat that?
Yeah,
that's the formula for success, and we've seen it throughout the years.
I think the telling thing, and you used to see it quite a lot with some of the guys from the Spurs, for instance, is when those guys leave and go to another team, do you see a massive drop off in their ability and performance? Because I think they're getting a lot out of some of these guys that actually is beyond what you'd be able to. Like Cameron Payne going off like last year, right? Like we've never seen that from him.
They got him off the couch, man. They got him off the couch. He he went and had to go and play in Europe and improve his stock. And that did him good. I'm sure he's improved a lot from where he was. He was at the Bulls, wasn't he? The last time he was in the league before the Suns picked him up. And I think that's a big part of it, right? There's different ways to make a great team. You can bottom out and get really high draft picks and develop them into stars. You can sign free agents, or you can develop your players, man. And they've done a combination of signings, but the development that's gone on has been impeccable.
Agree. Yeah.
So brings us to predictions. Who do we have winning tonight? Warriors versus Suns. Who's at home? Let me see.
Let's see.
It's the Warriors.
Okay.
And then on Saturday they play again, by the way.
They do. So
nice.
The streak continues. Oh wait. Mine's saying that Warriors are at Suns.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got at Suns, yeah.
Yeah, at Suns.
I got Suns at Warriors. Anyway, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, fine. And then it's the other way around. Okay.
Yeah. And then they're home for the second matchup. I
think that settles it. Like Suns.
Not for me, man. No.
You think the Warriors are gonna take this one?
Woo! Yeah. And the streak.
Because I just I think Steph's gonna just exploit Chris Paul. And they can't really hide him because Poole is playing quite well. because Wiggins, well, he's too big anyway.
Mm.
They could hide him on Draymond maybe, but good luck.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. But I Steph's playing incredibly, and I think he's gonna be licking his lips at that one.
Okay. I don't know if he won't be the primary defender on him, surely. Surely they'll put Bridges on him for the length, see if they can bother him with length, and Bridges should be able to get around screens better than Chris Paul at this point. Yeah,
but Chris Paul has to be guarding somebody.
yeah, you're right.
It's either like Steph or Young Legs.
Yeah.
So
that's a tough night. That is a tough night. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but then what about on the other end? How are the Warriors going to do defending the Suns pick and roll, defending all those mid-range shots? They're about to fly.
They won't.
Yeah, they don't really have that much of a good answer.
It's going to be really tight, and I think the Suns take this one because they're at home.
It could be a low-scoring affair as well. Two good defenses
between these two teams.
Warriors are good defensively.
Yeah,
they are good defensively.
Yeah, they are actually. I think that
you've got the tiebreaker, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to tie the break. I think that the Warriors are not that good defensively. They're just so good offensively that they kill the other team's morale, so they just stop shooting. You know how they say, like, offense is the better defense, the best defense. Like that's what they are right now.
Man. Yeah, it's definitely been true in the past when teams are just like, this isn't fair. Like they'd go on a third quarter run, just like Steph did to the Clippers on Sunday, just like, oh no, I'm gonna put this game away. Who do I have? I'm leaning Suns, to be honest. I don't know. It's still the same, like, are the Warriors real kind of thing. I have a little bit more faith in the Suns setup. Maybe I'm thinking too playoffsy about it, and it's just a regular season game, and there's not going to be the level of effort that I might expect. But I just have a bit more faith in that Suns setup. I think they're a better team. I know the Warriors have been a better team this season, but I think the Suns are a better team overall. So I'll just go with that.
That's amazing to think that this is where we are. If you said like
it's
that
wild.
Like 3 years ago, right?
What, 3 months ago?
Well,
think about it. Like, I know some people were high on the Warriors and they thought they'd be a top 4 seed. No one saw them being like runaway top of the league before Klay comes back.
Yeah. No.
Nobody saw that.
Yeah.
It's wild to think. They were what? Bottom of the West 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
That wasn't even, that was what, a year and 2 months ago or something like that. And then they missed the playoffs, losing the play-in. Now they're best in the league. Quick turnaround. All right. So we'll leave you with that. I feel like there's some news that I'm missing. We said MPJ's out for the season. Boogie Cousins signed with the Bucks. You mentioned Joe Harris's injury. He's out 4 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the little news bits. I think that's all. We missing anything, guys?
It's all good.
Ben Simmons still hasn't been traded. Fuck's sake.
Yeah. This is a big one though. Kemba Walker is out of the rotation, the Knicks, and they might try to trade him.
Wow.
They might try to trade him for John Wall.
Oh, that's
Knicks,
wild.
Knicks, man. Knicks.
John Wall, by the way, has said that he wants to play.
Wants to play, yeah.
So that they might switch over.
Kemba for Ben Simmons, it is.
Yeah.
A little bit more offense. Embiid can anchor that defense to a great defense, no matter who's around him. And then Kemba gives you that offensive juice. Kemba. No?
It's crazy.
Mike
If that's
doesn't
where
like
we
it.
are. No.
Mike doesn't like it. All
Went
right.
from James Harden like a year ago.
Told you should have traded him. Told you. Nah, I don't think it was Philly's choice. D'Angelo Russell?
He's not leaving Minnesota. No.
All right. They're
Best
in the playoffs
friends.
now.
Right now, yeah.
All right. Cool. We will wrap up there. Thank you for listening at home. Remember, please to like, share, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on any and all platforms. Yeah. Jump on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell. Thank you for watching if you've been watching. And oh yeah, we have to press the buttons.
Yeah. Smash
That
it.
button right down there.
And yeah, I think that's that on that. So from me, David Sagoe, from Michael Downey.
Good night.
And from Jose Garcia Vidal.
Bye-bye, people.
Bye-bye.
We're out of here. Ta-ra. Toodaloo.